Imagine being born with wings, the ultimate symbol of freedom. Sounds glorious, right? Now downgrade that fantasy to medieval Europe, where your grand destiny is dodging rocks from bored peasants and delivering poop murals on cathedral walls. On cathedral walls. The good news? You're a pigeon, part of the most famous bird gang in history. The bad news? Everyone hates you. Priests curse you, kids chase you, nobles eat you, and falcons treat you like flying popcorn. Welcome to pigeonhood in the Middle Ages, where your entire life is basically one long flight straight into misery. Congratulations, you just cracked your way out of an eggshell, into the medieval version of a nightmare nursery, your crib. Swear, a splintered church rafter dripping with candle smoke, rat droppings, and the occasional chunk of falling plaster. Don't get too comfortable. Half your siblings are already missing, stolen by rats, eaten by cats, or snatched by hungry children who think pigeon eggs are a complimentary breakfast. The lucky survivors? Well, if you call starving in filth while your parents fight over a crumb of stale bread lucky. And let's not forget your neighbors. Fleas, lice, and the ever-present church bells, which double as your alarm clock and blunt force trauma training. While human babies get swaddled and prayed over, you get baptized in pigeon poop and wine gusts strong enough to send you tumbling out of the nest. Oh, and baths, please. The closest you'll ever get to a medieval spa day is when it rains, and even then, the mud is thicker than the water. Somehow you survive your tragic hatching and make it to your first significant milestone, learning to fly. Sounds majestic, until you realize your maiden voyage is straight into the side of a church bell. Congratulations, you've just invented the world's first feathered concussion. Still, you flap on. You're finally airborne, soaring over markets filled with bread, grain, and fruit. Paradise, except none of it's for you. The baker guards his crumbs like gold, and peasants treat pigeons like living darts. So you dive for a single scrap, only to be joined by 30 of your identical cousins, all beating their greasy wings in your face like it's Black Friday at the moldy bread section. Every meal is a battle. Every sip of water is from a puddle that looks more like soup than liquid. Soup than liquid. And when you think you've earned a moment of peace, here comes the Hawk, a medieval fighter jet program to turn pigeons into mid-air confetti. Small victories? Sure. You escaped starvation for another day. You outflew one hawk. You stole one crumb. But in pigeon terms, that's basically the equivalent of winning the lottery, only to immediately get taxed to 99%. You thought starving, dodging rocks, and being chased by hawks was bad? Oh no, the medieval nightmare is just getting started. Because now you're old enough to be useful to humans. And in medieval Europe, when humans find a use for you, it's never good news. Option 1. Congratulations, you've just been promoted to war messenger. That's right, your delicate little pigeon body is now the medieval equivalent of Wi-Fi. They tie a scroll to your leg and launch you into the middle of a battlefield. On one side, armored knights clashing like iron sledgehammers. On the other, archers treating the sky like a moving target range. You're the unlucky feathered email trying to squeeze through the chaos without getting turned into pigeon nuggets. And it's not like you're flying in peace. Oh no! Falconry is all the rage among nobles, which means specially trained murder birds are unleashed to intercept you. Imagine trying to deliver a message across enemy lines while a feathered assassin is dive bombing. You at 200 miles an hour. Spoiler alert, you lose. You always lose. Option 2, dinner. If you're not out in the mud risking your life for human wars, you're being fattened up for someone's table. Because medieval nobles loved pigeon pies, yes, that's right. You could end up baked alive in a golden crust, served steaming on a platter to lords and ladies who'll never once think about your tragic little life story. They'll say, tasty. And if you think being eaten by nobles is bad, let's talk about peasants. Because when they're desperate and starving, even you, the bird everyone calls filthy, diseased, and useless, suddenly becomes a snack. One unlucky swoop of a boy's slingshot and boom, you're roasting on a stick over a muddy fire. Congratulations, you've been downgraded from Skyrat to protein source. But maybe, just maybe, you survive the battlefield, dodge the falcons, and escape the dinner pot. Your reward? Spending the rest of your life plastering cathedral walls with droppings. Yes, your grand legacy is painting Europe white one poop stain at a time. The priests curse you, the builders hate you, and even God's house smells like pigeon guano because of you. That's the thing about being a medieval pigeon. Even when you win, you lose. Escape the hawk? Great, now you starve. Escape the stew pot? Awesome, now you're delivering suicidal love letters between castles. Escape everything? Castles? Escape everything? Perfect. Now you're forever remembered as the flying vermin that ruined medieval architecture. So, whether you're skewered by arrows, shredded midair by falcons, or baked into a pie, your big climax always ends the same. Feathers, misery, and one more reason medieval life sucked. So somehow, you've made it. You've survived the rocks, the hawks, the pies, and the priest's broom. And now you get to experience the one thing every creature supposedly lives for. Reproduction. Except, Pigeon, romance is about as glamorous as a medieval latrine. Forget courtship, forget candlelight, forget poetry. Your version of romance is two awkward birds bobbing their heads at each other like malfunctioning puppets, until, eventually, you do the deed. Congratulations, that's medieval love. And the nest you build together? Flavor. Oh, it's not some carefully woven work of art. No, it's basically a trash heap of twigs, feathers, and whatever garbage you could yank from the village dump. Sometimes it's not even a nest at all, just a corner in a bell tower already soaked with centuries of pigeon waste. Home, sweet home. But wait, it gets better. You lay your precious eggs, and for 2 glorious seconds, you think maybe my children will have a better life. Spoiler alert, they won't. Half of them are eaten, smashed, or stolen before they even hatch. The survivors? They grow up to fight over crumbs and dodge arrows just like you. And if you're really productive, you'll repeat this cycle and again because pigeons don't just have one batch of babies. Oh no, you're basically a feathery factory line, cranking out new lives that are immediately sentenced to misery. Your grand legacy isn't love or joy or even survival. It's just more pigeons to suffer. So sure, you've technically matured, you've fulfilled your biological destiny. But in reality, all you've done is extend the family curse. In medieval Europe, reproduction didn't mean life. It just means multiplying the misery. And then, after a lifetime of crumbs, fear, and disappointment, comes the grand finale, your death. Maybe it's sudden. One moment you're pecking grain in the market, the next, thwack, a peasant boy's slingshot turns you into dinner. Fast, brutal, and about as dignified as a boot squashing a cockroach. Or maybe it's slower. A falcon swoops out of nowhere, and you get shredded midair, your feathers raining down like confetti over the battlefield. Congratulations, you just became a medieval fireworks display no one asked for. But the cruelest ending of all, simply fading. Your wings grow weaker. Your feathers dull. Younger, hungrier pigeons now rule the same streets you once scavenged. You find a shadowy corner of a church to rest, surrounded by centuries of pigeon droppings. And there you stop. No glory, no honor, just another anonymous feathered corpse in a world already overflowing with misery. And here's the kicker. Nobody cares, not the peasants, who curse your droppings. Not the nobles, who preferred you in a pie. Not even your fellow pigeons, who are too busy clawing each other for a stale crumb. That's the ultimate tragedy of being a medieval pigeon. You lived, you suffered, you reproduced, and in the end, you're remembered for nothing more than being vermin, just another gray smudge in the margins of history. So if you thought being a medieval peasant was bad, try being the creature even peasants despised. At least peasants had names. You? You're pigeon number 4721. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my video with others.